What are some of the best decisions you've ever made in your leadership journey or your life?
Well, there've been some bad decisions too, but best. One of the best was coming to SC Health, because it was an interesting change where working for many years in the hospital system, most people thought I would stay in that. So actually moving out of that environment and moving to a very different area and a different size and scale. So that was one of the best decisions for my career. I think getting further education was another very important decision. I went back and got my master's degree and also other things with different other educational things. I'm a believer in ongoing education. Those are important decisions. Not that the education is everything, but it's a piece of your own development that's critically important. There's been many important changes in the organization over the years. It's hard for me to kind of go, this was one. One was early on, and it's related to our growth, where I really perceived the environment was the right time to grow. And it was impossible for us to have planned, smart growth. We had to just run at it because it kind of came at us. So it wasn't, where we were able to say, well, we're going to just plan this and we're going to stage it and we're going to make some sense of it. And so I had a lot of resistance early on when the home care market became open, where everyone goes, well, we're going to do this slowly. And we're going to go, no, the door is open now. It will not remain open. And we have to move now and then probably backfill after. And over the years, that probably was the best decision for the organization because it set the stage for our expansion and growth. But it was very different than the logical, well, no, we got to do it slowly and we got to get that. And I have learned when the door opens, we may not be ready for it, but you better move if that's what you think you want to be doing, because it won't come back again. And I do say that to a lot of people for their careers. They go, what's the key thing, Shirley? And I go, well, if the doors are opening, you better walk through them. Or you better have made the decision that I'm okay, because that door may not open again. And sometimes you're not ready for it, or, there's a lot of extra work that needs to be involved and all of those kinds of things. And so you have to think it through carefully. Certainly for the organization, that was a big one because it set the stage to where we are today. Yeah. And it also set the culture of perfection. Don't let perfection compromise what needs to be done today.
Right. There's a quote by Sheryl Sandberg. She says, done is better than perfect.
Yeah. It's that same theme. And you just got to figure out how good done is to be able to move to the next. And that in my mind is the competency of leadership. One, either when is enough information enough to make a decision? Because you'll never have all the information. And you're right, when is it good enough to begin to move on it? And those answers, they're never perfect, so you have to keep checking them and
iterating. Right.
And if it's wrong, you gotta fail quickly. People do talk about that a lot, but it is very true. I have failed quickly. Like when something is not working, I don't worry about, oh my goodness, it's gonna look like I made a mistake here or a position. And over the years, I've had a lot of support at the board level and in the organization that, sort of like, no, we had 10 ideas here. 3 of them do not make any sense. And we are stopping them right now. And we're moving on these. And you have to do that because sometimes you get very invested and it's just not playing out. And the longer you wait to sort of stop it, it becomes even more challenging. So truly, and I do think when people say they have no regrets, it is a wonderful thing, but I really don't have any regrets. It doesn't say that there haven't been times where there have been consequences for my behavior in the sense of decisions I've made, sacrifices that family members have had to make because of how I prioritize things, all those kinds of things. But the net of how it all is and how everybody is and how St. Liz is and everything else, I kind of go, it's all good. It is all good. And I think that's how you do have to look at it. And when it's not, then you've got to make whatever adjustments you need to make. And particularly as women, children, families, and especially different timelines and careers, people have to make different choices at different points. And sometimes, it is a challenge and they're not happy with what they're doing. Then they have to adjust. Because there have been times where I've said, this is too much here, or this is too little here, and I've got to make the decision. Right now, I would say net, it's generally speaking, a good balance but that again is through my own knowledge and have learned, if it's not working, make the changes versus keep going through that and being unhappy with it. It's kind of go, okay, that's enough. I got to change this up in a different way. And that could be anything from managing the work to what other resources you need to, other supports or other people that need your support and prioritizing that differently. Those are important questions for people who are moving into leadership, because we all are living a life in addition to being in these leadership roles. And there are always consequences for our families, for, our children, for our parents, for all of those things that people need to factor in. And people do talk about this work-life balance, and this is where I go, there is no such thing. So you better make sure, however the whole thing fits, it's what, and again, it goes back to, is what you are okay with. And I do find that's a challenge, because there are a lot of external views and pressures. And at the end of the day, because many of these leadership roles, they do have an impact. And to suggest they don't, I don't think it would be a fair statement. But being comfortable, and everyone around you, that's important, being comfortable with the decisions and activities. And if I don't go, years ago, I remember I wasn't able to go to my daughter's rugby games because I had something else. That's sort of the thing where I say the consequences of that behavior was, to this day, my daughter still says, my mother never came to my rugby games. I go, never mind, it turned out just fine. But at that moment in time, it was a difficult challenge for me. But as I say, overall, when you look at that, I go, no, there's really not been anything.
And did you have that guilty feeling as a mom? Because I know I have two little ones, and sometimes, when I have to miss their,
Yeah. And that's where people say, how do you balance it all? And that's why I go, you don't.
Yeah.
And that's where, and that's where there are consequences, but that's where it's sort of, what's the risk reward? How does it all play out? Absolutely. In every event in their life, there's always, something. As I say, the rugby game, I'd say, that I can pass on. Something else where I knew it was emotional for someone to have me there and to have the mother's support there. And again, it's very individualized. Some people, it's very important. They go, I have to do it this way. And again, as an employer, I completely respect that, because what I choose to do versus what someone else may be very different. And I want to make sure I'm not supporting what I think is relevant. I need to be supporting what others think is relevant. And that is very important as employers in this day and age. And I think we've evolved. That's the good thing. We've really improved that. I must admit, I still think in 2021, the burden with children and families definitely still rotates onto the mother more than anything. It has improved significantly, but I'm always sympathetic. Maybe it's just myself as a female and a mother, and that I go, there are more supports, but and that's where the guilt does come in. That at the end of the day, it's even when you sort of, delegate it and say, can you do that? That you yourself as a mother thinking, I should be doing that. But it's not perfect. The only thing I can tell you, they do get old, they do grow, and they do remember and go, yeah, it was all good. It was all
Right. You turned out just fine, right?
Exactly. My next thrill is my daughter's she's to be delivering this week.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
And I keep saying, just you wait.
Yeah, it's your turn now, right?
That's the only pleasurable part of it all, that I go, it'll be very interesting to see how all of this plays out.
You get to watch now.
Yep. I mean, that's the enjoyment of it all, sort of a new stage, a new chapter for her and for myself within that. So, but I do say to people, it does all work out, but it's not easy. And there does have to be decisions that are made along the way. But don't feel guilty. They do all, it'll all work out. Actually, both my children have said having a happy mother is more important than anything. And I do think when children get to an age, they will truly understand that piece of it.